plugged in, talk a little bit about the vortexes. We only have like 20 minutes left. I'd love to talk, first of all, define Saturn return for people who don't know it, and then talk about the vortexes and how you channel your energy. And
okay, well, you know, the Saturn cycle it occurs every 30 years. My first Saturn cycle occurred during my divorce at age 30. What happens is that the entire pillars that are upholding your life, they start to collapse one by one like a house of cards until everything collapses in your life. And everything is thrown up, all the fragments are thrown up into the air to be rearranged in this sort of configuration or pattern that you never knew before, you know? So all of a sudden, you know, life is a big mystery waiting to be rediscovered.
Yes,
again.
and the bigger you are, the further you fall. I mean,
exactly,
it's like
exactly. In my case, you know, my house burnt down completely to the ground the first time. The second time, the gods were a little bit more kind and gentle to me. So my house did not burn down. You know, it's a little dilapidated and it needs to be, it's in disrepair. It needs a paint job, needs a roof job, that sort of thing. But the foundation is strong because I've spent a whole lifetime building this very strong, magnificent home, you know. So, and also Saturn is a huge, great teacher. And, you know, he's a heavy-handed teacher. So be prepared for all kinds of pitfalls and all kinds of treachery. But if you are a strong and wise person, you will take those lessons and you will just really integrate them into your life as wisdom lived. And that's what I did. And that's why I survived it all.
Do you follow astrology and tarot cards, that kind of thing, daily, or?
Not formally, but I believe in all of that stuff as, not formally on a daily basis do I follow astrology, but I do believe in astrology as an ancient science, you know, and it's a system. I mean, if you just really stop to really think and ponder, you know, the moon as a celestial body that is really closest to the earth. So when the full moon happens, people do all kinds of crazy things. And the word lunatic really comes from the moon, the full moon. And then, you know, when it also, you know, affects the tides, you know, the ebb and the flow of the tides, and it really affects us emotionally because, you know, we as a body consist of a lot of water and fluid. So just really the gravity and the pull of the moon really affects us. So why not the configuration of the other heavenly bodies?
I believe that.
It makes sense to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talk a little bit about vortexes.
I believe that I myself create a vortex that really sort of engulfs me wherever I go. But I also believe that every single one of my homes is a vortex. This is a great vortex of energy here. And as a matter of fact, I had one energy worker who walked into this house and he said, the reason why so many famous people have lived here and powerfully creative people have always been drawn to this house, because I don't know whether you know of some of the inhabitants.
Yes.
I don't know whether you know of some of the inhabitants, but anybody from Howard Hughes to Jimi Hendrix, to Norma Talmadge and Joe Schenck, her husband.
Wasn't even Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp lived here. Norma Talmadge and her husband Joe Schenck lived here. And Joe Schenck not only founded 20th Century Fox Studios, but along with his wife Norma Talmadge, Charlie Chaplin, and their good friends Mary Pickford and Sir Douglas Fairbanks, they also founded United Artists Studios. And then you had Johnny Depp living here because Bela Lugosi lived here, and he was really trying to really vibe in on Bela Lugosi for the Ed Wood stories by Tim Burton.
Yes.
Then in the 60s, it became an iconic rock palace with Jimi Hendrix, Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, Van Morrison, Bob Dylan, Dennis Hopper filmed part of his iconic movie Easy Rider here. So there's a scene of Peter Fonda leaning over the fireplace in the library, and then they filmed the whole bordello scene in this grand ballroom that we're sitting in. And, the artist Ed Ruscha lived in my guest house. I mean, the list goes on and on.